Welcome back. President Edgar Lungu of Zambia is anything but done with his presidential aspirations. We understand that he has filed in nomination papers for the 11th August elections along with his deputy, Inonge Winner. This is nothing new to either Zambians or President Lungu, as this makes it the second time Mr. Lungu has run for the presidency, which he won less than 2 years ago following the death of President Michael Sata. His main challenger, Hakainde Hichilema, is due to file his nomination papers tomorrow for what analysts reckon is most likely to be a fiercely contested election. The 5 days annual meetings of the African Development Bank in Lusaka, Zambia for 2016 was another occasion for leaders and policymakers on the continent to reflect on key issues and to review progress being made. Channel's Business News editor Bosin Omofaye attended the just concluded AfDB meetings and captures the central theme of the summit in this report.
The 2016 annual meetings of the African Development Bank had been a very interesting one. Leaders across the continent, political, policymakers, businessmen, development finance institutions and their partners around the world spent hours here discussing the central issue of energy and climate change for the continent.
2 in every 3 Africans, totaling about 640 million people, have no access to electricity at all. Needless to say, Africa has massive resources for both conventional and renewable energy, and yet it is known for darkness in homes and no power for our industries.
But these issues flow beyond that into manufacturing and industries, jobs for women and youths as well of the continent growing at an amazing rate.
Because there is an emergency, we are looking at creating some jobs directly, some direct creation of jobs. And in this particular budget cycle, we are creating 500,000 jobs. And now these are jobs that we want to start by creating a volunteer teacher corps.
But these conversations will always be there. The key question is, as Akinwumi Adesina, the president of the AfDB, puts it, he is impatient for action, as Africa needs to move quickly on to deliverables.
We have to move faster. And that's why the New Deal on Energy for Africa was launched. Everything that is good for Africa must not happen always in the future. It has to happen earlier.
At the next annual meetings of the AfDB, how much of the 2016 conversations will continue when it takes place in India? For now, from Lusaka, Zambia, for Channel's Business News, this is Bosin Omofaye.
Well, the Channel's TV's Business News editor you just saw in that report joins me in the studio now. Bosin, good to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Now, the theme of this year's meeting was energy and climate change. Now, how does the AfDB how far does the bank have to go in significantly lightening up Africa?
You're looking at projects, or a number of projects that cost dozens of billions of naira, of dollars, I beg your pardon. And this will have to happen, as the AfDB president puts it has to happen very quickly. It doesn't have to be in the future. Because again, population growth is not waiting, industrialization is not waiting, the rest of the world is not waiting for the continent. So the key issue here is not about just having a talk shop, but to see actions moving very quickly. And the AfDB at the conference concluding with a press media briefing on the final day last Friday says, look, an implementation committee is starting to be placed in October. So the AfDB expects action to start from October. The AfDB is also recruiting a new vice president for the organization who will be in charge of energy and climate change and green shoots. In other words, the new vice president within the organizational structure of AfDB will focus on energy, and that is how important energy and climate change is for the continent, as far as the AfDB is concerned.
Now, there are 8 social development goals, and number 7, which talks about ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Now, how can this become a reality?
Well, this will become a reality because, again, part of the discussions and conversations there from other private companies and civil societies is the fact that a number of intermediary, low-level organizations are coming in to be part of the project. The AfDB cannot do this alone. All African leaders won't be able to do it alone. So you have companies who are coming from renewable energy, from biofuel and whatever, making impacts. You have Abrek in West Africa, for example, in Togo, starting with about $100 million, now doing about 200, scaling up to about $500 million. You have a Power for All doing some significant improvement and inroads in Zimbabwe. You have another organization called ID Solar Solutions doing something also in Zambia itself. So you're finding that a number of organizations are pitching on the African continent. They are coming in from around the world, from India, from Japan, from other parts of the world, bringing in solutions from Europe as well, bringing simple solutions that will be affordable to the people, affordable to women and children, and making it very quickly to ramp up this energy need for the continent that is expanding almost on a daily basis.
Now, we just saw in that report that the AfDB president, Akinwumi Adesina, said he is impatient for action. What does this mean? Everybody's
impatient. We're talking about 600 million about a year ago. We've now moved that figure to close to 610, 620 million. So population growth is a major issue for Africa. We're having population growth faster than we're developing energy. So we need to move social infrastructure like energy and climate change issues faster than the population. If you don't do that, we'll keep producing more babies. We'll keep growing in terms of population, whereas we'll have less resources to take care of them. That is not good for pregnant women. It's not good for hospitals. It's not good for industries. And you've heard President Edgar Lungu says, look, we can't continue to work in the dark. And that means that we need to move out of darkness and use part of the energy and climate change to change the poverty conversation about Africa. Akinwumi Adesina says, look, he doesn't want Africa to be the museum of poverty in the world. Okay, and that is good.
Okay, now, so what are the challenges staring us in the face with regards to lighting up Africa?
The key challenge is that we spent so many years building big energy, geothermal, whatever. It hasn't really worked. It's taken years to deliver, 9 to 10 years. Now we're looking at small solutions that can reach people in faraway places. A good part of the size of Africa is in far-flung desert areas and what have you, savanna, as we call it. If you put a geothermal power somewhere, or wind farm like in Turkana area in Kenya, and you have to power it over hundreds of kilometers, you need infrastructure to deliver that. So you need to bring small solutions to small villages and towns that can quickly bring light to the people, or power to the people.
Thank you very much, Wilson Omofaye, Channels Television Business News Editor. Well, still to come on Network Africa. Rumor has it that the selection process for Rio 2016 was biased. Our sports correspondent joins us to let us know if that's true.